There you go.
Folks, welcome back. This is part two. There's so much to cover in E3. It's been such a blast that not only did this episode go long, but we're just gonna go till we're done. So, and then after that, I'm gonna go get some bad tacos. Not to be confused with Bad At Tacos.
Okay, so next up is the EA presentation, which was uneventful for the most part. First major news, sports game. Moving on. Next game is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Andromeda.
Yes, thank you. I guess I'm not a Mass Effect guy, so I got really no comments. It looked interesting.
I'm not either, right? Like, I have Mass Effect 3 for the Wii U because I bought the console used and it came with Mass Effect 3. I have yet to ever play it.
I have it for collection purposes. That's all. I'm like Tyler, where I want to get save it for the future.
Oh yeah, I intend to play Mass Effect 3 at some point. I hear it's a good game, but it's in the backlog, But there's other games that definitely take higher priority.
How about you, Timmy? Any on Mass Effect?
Not too much to say for Mass Effect. I've played a few of them, but not a huge fan of them. I mean, I know they're beautiful games, but yeah.
Okay, and it releases holiday 2015, so later this year. Anybody
awesome.
else?
Let me know when it hits the $20 bin, and then.
Okay. So we got a new Need for Speed. That's what all it's called. I don't know why. They want to call it just for Need for Speed. November 3rd, 2015.
Do we know if Criterion is involved in this?
No idea. I wasn't really paying attention when this was going on.
Okay. If Criterion is actually involved in this game, it might be worth looking out for because Need for Speed Most Wanted was basically Burnout 5. So if this is a Burnout 6 masquerading as Need for Speed, I'm all on board. If it's just another Need for Speed without their involvement, I'll pass.
Alright, so anybody else want to talk about Need for Speed?
I don't really do racing games. Again,
yeah, me either. Next is Star Wars The Old Republic. It's getting something called Night of the Fallen Empire. Free to subscribers. Releases October 27th, 2015. So if anybody plays, I don't play The Old Republic, but they got new stuff coming out.
That'll be interesting to talk about in December when it's closer to the movie coming out.
I'm not looking forward to that conversation, but that's one of those episodes I gotta dig deep and get information. Okay, the next one is a new IP called Unravel. It's a puzzle platformer. The guys are from somewhere in Europe, Northern Europe somewhere.
I think this looks really fun.
Kind of gave me a feel of what is that game called? The PlayStation. I'm having a hard time remembering it.
I don't know.
It's a big popular game. Once I say it, you guys are gonna know what it is. It's a little brown guy that walks. I forget. Anyway.
Is it the game where you can rewind time?
I don't know. I never played the game. I just know it's there.
Oh, okay. I can't really help you out. I don't know. Like, I'm weird with puzzle games. Like, I like them, but at the same time, like, for me, puzzle games, I'll get into them, I'll enjoy them, and then the puzzles will kind of get like plain and same and boring, and then I'll just kind of like drop out of them. I very rarely actually play a puzzle game to completion. I think Portal 2 is the only game I played to completion, and that's because it had a really interesting story throughout.
From the way it was described during the presentation, it's sort of the puzzle platformer thing. It kind of reminded me, and this is going to sound odd, but it kind of reminded me in a way of how Out of This World plays. You know what I mean? Like, you have to figure out a way to move to the next room. You have to, you just kind of keep going. I don't know if that's what but that's what it kind of reminded me of.
That actually intrigues me then. That actually kind of intrigues me. There was an old game that was kind of like that, Prisoner of Ice. It was an old DOS game. And they would put you in you were in a submarine, you start out in a submarine that had found lost cargo in the ocean, in the Antarctic, and it's an alien in there and it breaks loose and you're trying to figure out how to get around. But those kind of puzzle games I like. I guess the ones that I really tire of quickly is things like A Clone in the Dark and Closure and things like that. Those start out kind of really neat and innovative, and then they just rehash the same concepts too much to keep my interest.
Yeah.
Damn it. I can't remember the game all well. Okay, so anybody else got a comment about it? What I noticed about the guy, he seemed really nervous but passionate about his game. If you watch his body language, he seemed nervous, but he's like, you can tell the excitement he had about his game. That's that's always a good sign when someone's excited and passionate about his game.
So he put a lot of himself into it, I guess. It's a good way of putting it.
The story behind it, how he made it, was interesting. He was on a camping trip when he created it. So if you get a chance, watch how he made it. It's interesting.
My son and I are going on a camping trip in 2 weeks, so maybe we'll come back with a video game.
Nice. Okay, so next one is Mirror Edge Catalyst. I'll let Chris start with this one.
I'm interested in this one. From what I understand, it's a prequel. Doesn't necessarily involve any of the characters from the one that we know that we've already played. I'm curious. I would like to see more in the Mirror's Edge universe. I think the story was pretty interesting. I think the creative team has proven that they can take a concept and turn it into a pretty awesome game. So I'm open-minded.
I'm interested in. I actually want to play the first Mirror's Edge personally. So if it's good, I'll probably go after the next one.
I played it and beat it. What was really interesting, I like that they used in the first Mirror's Edge game. I like that it was a first-person game that didn't play like any first-person game that had ever come out before.
Yeah, it was different and it was fun. It was very stylized. Like you knew what you were supposed to do without having to, because of the idea of the game being, going fast. You knew what you were supposed to do, where you could go without having to really think about it. It flowed really well. But it was still a puzzle game.
And I'll give you that I think would be an awesome game to play with something like an Oculus Rift.
Actually, that would be interesting with Oculus Rift.
The only problem with that is the speed you're moving at in that game.
So have a puke bucket next to you.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I wasn't thinking like you actually running around your room like into walls and stuff like that. I was more thinking sitting on the couch with the illusion that you're running. And jumping.
There is a platformer now. I don't know if you guys seen it before. It's like a round thing. You walk on it. Imagine that with Oculus Rift and Mirror's Edge. I'll probably lose some weight.
I would have a broken leg within the first 5 minutes. It's a horrible idea.
Okay, so Tyler, you want to take us to the next topic?
Battlefront.
I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I want this. I'm just
Star Wars Battlefront.
It looks really good. It's a little different than the old Battlefront games. It seems like with the first Battlefront, they had the option so you could have like the clone army and a few other different things. This, they're focusing solely on the Rebel Alliance and the Empire. That's it. Now, I don't know if there's going to be other factions, anything else like that, but that's all they've said so far, is those two factions. So I don't know.
Release date?
November 17th.
I think you are correct.
Sweet.
And it looks really good. It looks great. I've heard it's based on the Battlefield engine or something.
Yeah, it looks a lot like
DICE.
Battlefield.
So
Yeah.
it's using Frostbite. Yeah.
Okay. So I've never played Battlefield. I've heard good things about it. I don't know. But it definitely looks good. This is probably the one game that's making me consider buying another console. So.
You know what? When they're taking down when they're roping the walker, I guess I'm not a Star Wars fan. It reminds me of the 64 game. When you do that, you gotta circle around it, take it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire.
Yes.
That did look pretty cool. I'll give you that. That looked pretty cool.
So that's something else I want. I'm not a Star Wars fan, so something if I want it.
Yeah, I mean that game just looked damn sexy. That's all I have to say.
But for the most part of the EA presentation, it was fairly boring.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys watched it.
it seemed very slow. Like I mentioned off air, the whole
Pele.
sports section was just boring, and then when they got to that Pele interview, it was just it. The interview I thought was interesting, but it just killed the flow. It didn't belong.
I'm a sports fan, and I didn't even care, so that tells you something too.
So EA, if you want to get us caring about sports games again, I got 2 titles for you that you need to re-release: Mutant League Football,
Yes.
Mutant League Hockey. Thank you.
They would make money off that. Okay, next topic is Ubisoft. Ubisoft is interesting, and you want to take the first one, Chris? South Park game.
I don't remember the exact title, so read me off the exact
Fractured
title.
Hole.
Fractured Butthole, right?
Yes.
Butwhole. Now, look, okay. I saw Stick of Truth. I played Stick of Truth actually with my dad on the 360, and I think I remarked in a previous episode that what really impressed me about that game was, even though it was on a last-gen console, it was indistinguishable playing that game and watching the show. I mean, it really just looked like you were playing the show, which was amazing. So to see what they're going to be able to do on, the current gen consoles, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be
But this
pretty.
time you are superheroes instead of the magic and stuff. The first game was really fun. For what it was a really fun game.
Is it going to be another RPG, or is it something different?
Yes, I think it's going to be RPGs. It's going to be superheroes this time, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's going to
actually
be.
pretty funny.
I think it's going to be really good. If they use the same engine and the same style of storytelling throughout the RPG and stuff,
It'll be fine.
I think it's going to be a hit.
Okay,
Yeah.
so next is it's a new IP called For Honor. Quick information: you can fight as a knight, a Viking, or a samurai. You fight with swords and so on. It has multiplayer. Feels like a hack and slash, but when you're fighting against another online player, it seems more. You gotta be more a little strategic about it, you know. So, what do you guys think of this? I actually thought it was interesting.
I actually didn't watch the Ubisoft presentation. I didn't get around to that one, so I got nothing to say.
Everybody else?
Yeah, unfortunately wasn't able to watch it either.
So I guess I'll give it. To
I
you.
was able to watch it. I chose not to because they had 0 games that interested me.
Okay, let's go a few more. The Division, which I actually was interested at first from last year, but now I kind of lost interest to a point. Let's see when it
What game?
releases. Releases March 8th, 2016. And also Rainbow Six Siege, which Terror Hunt is back, and the beta releases September 24th. Anybody interested in Rainbow Six?
Not really.
Yeah, it kind of has
They're okay.
Battlefield Hardline feel to it. The whole police and breaching, but a little more deeper. That's how I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't really, like I said, I didn't watch the presentation because they didn't have. Honestly, Ubisoft hasn't done anything in a long time that does interest me. I think the last Ubisoft games I bought were Just Dance games. I got it for my kids.
They announced that, but I kind of skipped it.
Yeah,
I gotta be.
Just Dance 2016, which you can use a smartphone as a camera, which is cool if you don't have a camera for your Xbox One or PS4. That releases October 2015. Then they also have a sub-streaming service now for the new gens only called Just Dance Unlimited. Some quick information about that.
Yeah, my kids have outgrown that stuff too, so I bought them and then they don't get played anymore. So I haven't bought a Ubisoft game in a long time.
I'm with Tyler on that one. The biggest hits for me, I'm like struggling. I'm racking my brain to find a Ubisoft game I've had since the Rabbids games for the Wii.
I like the Far Cry series.
What was that?
Far Cry.
Yeah, that wasn't my particular thing. I know that one's pretty popular for them, but for me the big hits were really the Rabbids games on the Wii. There was only 1 or 2 duds really for me in that series. Most of the Rabbid minigame ones were pretty good. And then Rabbids Go Home, which was nothing like the mini game ones. Rabbids Go Home was like a surprise, like awesome game. And then I haven't really kept up with them.
Okay, there's 2 more games. What's Assassin's Creed Syndicate? Shocker, another Assassin's Creed game. Which I guess I'll buy because I got most of them as it is. And next one's called Ghost Recon Wildlands, which that one looked interesting. I should just go look it up.
I like the way I've liked all of the previous Ghost Recon games. I think they're different with that, kind of futuristic combat style game that's super popular right now. But they do it differently.
Yeah, it was interesting. You comment, guys, think about Assassin's Creed or Ghost Recon? I know you guys don't watch it, so.
No.
Nah.
Okay, so next one, Sony. Okay, who wants to take The Last Guardian? Who wants to start us off with that one?
I saw the gameplay trailer. I was kind of impressed by it. I mean, well, knowing that it was supposed to come out in like what 2008 or 9 or something like that. But no. But with that said, I mean, I don't know. It looks pretty. I don't know, pretty decent. I don't know. It's just like kind of like a platform puzzle game where you got to manipulate your giant griffin dog thing to go through the puzzles and the environment. But yeah, I don't know. It looked it looked okay.
I think
can dig it.
It'll definitely be fun, I think. And it's definitely going to show up in my household, so definitely going to play it. And
it just looks like, I don't know, it just looks like a piece of art. It just looks amazing. Just like, I don't know,
I'm not a graphics
Colossus
player,
and Ico.
The griffin's feathers bugged me for some reason. I was just watching. I was like, I don't know if it's a compression rate or what, because I was watching on Steam or Twitch.
It looks like what?
I was watching on Twitch, so yeah, But if I was watching the feathers on the griffin, I don't know, it just didn't look right.
No, it's definitely the
I have to watch a higher
compression.
quality video.
It's definitely the compression. I watched it in 1080p on my television downstairs using the YouTube app, and it looked absolutely beautiful.
I was just taken back that they're actually going to finish the game and actually put it out, because it's just been floating around, not really doing much with it forever.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. There's still time for them to cancel it, but
I put it on my bingo joke.
He did,
but yeah, I was surprised. I put that one in the Final Fantasy VII remake, which I think we're gonna get to. I put those down as trying to be a smartass. Little did I know I was being prophetic, but. But yeah, for me, I don't know. Was I the only one that got this vibe? Bad at Chaos. Maybe you can chime in. On the one hand, I was impressed with the visual experience. What I really liked was that this was one of those few games where it was enjoyable. It was as enjoyable to watch it being played as I imagine it would be to play it. Because, like you said, it looked like I was watching a piece of art. It looked like I was watching a story unfold, not somebody play a game. But at the same time, something that definitely struck me was, wow, this definitely looks like a PS3 game that they up-resed for PS4.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they probably just put in a better lighting engine, and I mean, it's obviously being rendered at a higher resolution. But yeah, I mean, I think the base of the game, I think, looks kind of simplistic. You're just kind of guiding that monster around to, get to new places, but it's I don't know what you want to call it, Griffin, or I don't know. Did they have a name for that thing yet?
It's clearly the Guardian.
No,
It's just the Guardian, yeah. But
just the Guardian. Okay, I wasn't sure if they had other name for it or whatever.
I'm with Timothy though. It's definitely going to be a game in my collection. Pretty much anything that studio puts out is going to be in my collection.
Yeah, my only thought was it looked like the thing from Neverending Story. Anybody remember that?
Oh.
The Good Luck Dragon?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just I
don't see it, but
I can see where it may strike you like that.
Giant dog thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
The way it acted. I think it's the way it acted.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. It definitely acted like the Luck Dragon, but to me it didn't look like it.
No, it didn't look like it, but it just kind of reminded me of the Falcor, or whatever the hell his name was.
No, you're on. It's definitely in the spirit of that. I guess that's what I really love about the both Shadow of the Colossus and now this Last Guardian one. Is I think you're right. I didn't really pick up on it until you mentioned that. It does have that 80s never-ending story type vibe and universe feel to it.
Yeah, it'll definitely show up in the collection, so we'll see what it's like. It definitely piques my interest.
So you can come back and give us a report if you buy it, right? Come on
Yeah,
the show.
I'll let you
Yeah,
guys.
it actually gives me a reason to like want to get a PlayStation 4.
Yes,
but
go to the
I don't
dark
know.
side.
Come to the dark side.
Yeah, what's really interesting, that's a good point, because a lot of the other ones, which we're going to get to, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 7, are now going to be cross-platform titles. So
Yep.
Last Guardian, I think you're right, is really the only big... That and, maybe Infamous for folks that are into that are really the only killer exclusive titles, I think, out on the PS4 right now.
Also a note about Sony. The intro and exit music presentation was done by Mark, our host, for Sony. He was actually the one who did all that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, did his friend contribute? Did you hear any dolphins squealing or anything?
I was distracted by the games.
I actually I was watching the Lego movie with my son, and there's a part in there where you hear, dolphins and all that other stuff, and I go, oh, man, I know somebody who knows who did that.
I know Mark. Who's Mark? Guy from Sony. Okay, the next game it's a new game. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. Some basic information. It's a post-apocalyptic game. Pretty much Earth, our buildings, it was covered by grass and stuff. They still see it. Machines take over, and they look like animals and creatures. Like they got mixed, and humans kind of look like Native Americans. They have bows and spears. They have no technology, and they're hunting these and fighting these machine animals, creatures. It was interesting.
They need a Lara Croft.
Yeah,
That
it looks cool. I don't know that I would necessarily buy it, because it's not my kind of game. It does, visually, I enjoyed it, and it looked very intriguing.
I don't feel like for me it's going to be a launch day title. Like I'm not going to get it at launch, but I'm definitely going to look into it. Probably get it.
I'll probably watch some Let's Plays, read some reviews, and if it's good, I'll probably go pick it up.
I'll probably forget about it 5 minutes into our next topic.
Probably. Okay. Next topic is a new Hitman game. Okay, so some basic information. PC, PS4, Xbox One. Bad thing, it's digital. I'm not a digital fan. PS4 will get a beta. The PS4 will also get 6 exclusive in-game contracts.
So wait a minute, this is going to be a digital-only Hitman game?
That's what I got from the show. Yeah.
That doesn't affect me as a PC gamer.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me as a non-Hitman player either.
It looked interesting.
I'm with Chris. I haven't never played those either.
Who's the publisher on that?
I'm not sure who the publisher. It's under the Sony one. I don't know who's publishing.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
next one, I don't care at all, but you guys can cover it. Street Fighter V, basic info, PS4 and PC. I guess Birdie's coming back, Candy's coming back. You can pre-order the beta now, access. The beta comes out July 23rd.
Awesome. For anybody out there who wanted a 5th entry in the series, there you go.
I don't care about Street Fighter.
Yeah, my thing is, it's like we've been playing the same game since 1990, whatever, when Street Fighter. How many do we need? It hasn't. It's improved, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if we're really honest, right? Well, I guess I should say, if Capcom's really honest, this is technically Street Fighter 27 or something like that, right?
My best friend's brother loves Street Fighter. He was excited about this. So they got a rather fan base that they're happy with it.
I'm just glad they're not still tacking extra crap onto the end of Street Fighter 2. Super Street Fighter 2, Super Nifty Special, Ultimate, wow, way cool.
Capcom.
It's
And
the
Spider-Man.
my roommate's really excited for it. My
Cash
roommate-
grab edition.
As soon as I put a new number on it, they change something about the game, and that's how you know it's different, kind of thing. It's like, okay, Or
Yeah,
just-
that was what I heard too, right? Like when they finally revved the number, it's because they've finally made it so that none of the combos you spent like the last 3 years memorizing the previous game work in the new one.
yeah, and I don't know. For me, I don't play fighting games anyway, but that seems kind of like a slap to people who play it.
Yeah. So I sit there and learn the combos. You're gonna switch on me.
Yeah, that's like you know, Nintendo coming out with a new Mario game where he can't jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played the arcade game. You know, I've seen people, you know, it's just pretty, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm losing Tyler too.
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't hear nothing, Tyler. You still hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we lost you there for a minute.
Am I good?
Now you are.
Okay.
Sound okay now? Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay, so no one, pretty much no one here cares about Street Fighter for the most part. Okay, next one I found interesting, No Man's Sky. It's a space battle type game. It's very large scale. You can land on planets, trading, fighting, exploring. I thought it was pretty interesting.
I found it interesting too. I watched the trailer because you forced me to. I want to ask this question, right? Like, is it possible that this game, or a game that aspires to be the scope that this game aspires to be, is just too much game?
It could be, but that's why you watch reviews before you actually go buy it.
There's No
Too
Man's
much.
Sky. There's also Star Citizen. Star Citizen is another game that is one of those games that it wants to be everything. And my roommate just said it is everything. They're doing a really good job, and both of those games are doing a really good job at actually being what they want to be. But at the same time, it's a lot of work on the developers, and they're both smaller developers.
Yeah, and I guess where I was coming at it too is, but I guess I mean like, you know, by big, like I'm watching this video of like this epic like space battle going on, and I'm thinking, you know, like just the amount of time it's going to take for me to travel from one end of that battle to the other could be like 20 minutes. Like I guess that's what I meant, just like literally like the size of the
Okay.
game world.
Again, with that, it's going to be niche audiences that it's going to aspire to, and there's going to be different aspects for different people. But you look at something like Eve as well. Eve, there was this big battle, and it took 8 hours. One battle.
Yeah, two
took 8
factions, right?
hours. Well, it's not a faction versus faction, it's corporations. It ended up
Okay.
being very similar to a faction versus faction because they would end up being two groups against each other. But then you also had like pirates jumping in and trying to get things, and these were player pirates and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And No Man's Sky and Star Citizen are going to be very similar in that regard. I don't think the battles are going to last quite as long as Eve battles do, but
I heard Eve is a very interesting game. I've seen some.
it's interesting for sure.
Are we at this point yet where I can find somebody to pay me to play the game like for 8 hours? I'm not talking beta testing. I'm not talking play testing or anything. I'm like literally like, if I'm gonna be involved in it for 8 hours, can I like draw some kind of
Yeah, I
paycheck?
can't do an 8-hour battle. But after about an hour, like, you know what, guys, you're on your own.
Yeah, I'd be like, you know what? Screw the Empire. It wasn't really worth it. I didn't really care that much. I voted for the other guy.
So is this a multiplayer game or is this single player?
It's a big multiplayer game from what I've seen.
Yeah,
Like, you can
so
pretty
No
much
Man's
just split
Sky
the
is going to be
planets. That's how big this
multiplayer.
thing is.
Oh, okay. I kind of assumed it was going to be single player for some reason.
I know it was multiplayer because they said, oh, you know, you can put markers down, you can see other people's markers.
Okay.
It'd look interesting. It's on my, maybe list right now.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely looks
Few
interesting.
games like that coming out in the next few years, I guess. I can't remember the name of the other one, but yeah, No Man's Sky and Star Citizen are very similar. doing different aspects, and it's apparently there's a market for them right now. So I think they'll be successful as long as they can accomplish everything they want to accomplish.
Okay, next is Destiny. It's just quick DLC information. It's called The Taken King. Comes out September 15th, 2015.
Wait,
When
Destiny's still a thing?
Yeah.
When I first heard about Destiny, I was excited to play it, and
Yes.
I enjoyed it when I first started playing it, except it just got to be too repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again, and
It's all grinding from what I've
Yeah.
seen.
the expansions aren't changing anything. It's different grinding, but it's still just grinding.
Well, isn't that kind of the whole point of an MMO? I mean,
But put something different in there.
well, I've only played one, and I played Star Wars Galaxies back in the day, and the whole thing was grinding. You know, I mean, you get to the point where you're not grinding anymore, and then what are you doing? You know, there's nothing to do.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. Next one is World of Final Fantasy. Some quick information. Coming to the Vita and PS4. Oh, Vita. Finally made an appearance. Small, cartoonish looking style. Not a Final Fantasy. Where's Cash when you need him? You can comment on that one before we go to the other Final Fantasy.
I got nothing.
I see a cat tail. Okay, who wants to do the Final Fantasy VII? Who wants to start that? I'm a fan, so someone can take it.
I think it's just another example of I think it's another example. There was one of the characters from Final Fantasy VII. It was on the poofy plush doll thing that can walk around. And the one that wore the crown on the head, right? They had the cat with the crown.
I don't know. I don't play Final Fantasy.
Kate Sith, I think, was the name. But anyway, I think that's another example. Square's finally listening, right? They've churned out a whole bunch of Final Fantasy games. They've churned out a whole bunch of online Final Fantasy games that had botched launches and then later were kind of fixed up and everything. People have said repeatedly, just give us a Final Fantasy VII game that holds up to the movie that you gave us and Crisis Core, right? Just give us like your best shot at what Final Fantasy really was what you had in mind. And they're finally doing it. They're finally not making excuses. They're finally not, saying, oh, it'd be so much work, blah blah blah. They're finally committing to, we're gonna do this. So, and bonus, they're gonna do it on both platforms, Xbox One and PS4, but it'll be first on PS4. So I say, awesome, and I hope that it's not them just trying to do like a shot for shot, frame for frame, super upgrade. I really hope that they do take an opportunity to take advantage of the new potential of these platforms and to make this not a remake, but more like a retelling.
All right, so who wants to take our next game? The one that everyone's excited for. You want to take it? Shenmue 3, I think that's what you said.
Yeah, Shenmue 3, interesting that they went the crowdfunding way.
Which is currently at $3,290,523. And we got the goal within 24 hours, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'm personally not. I know Casual will kill me. I personally haven't played the other games, not because I didn't think I would like them, but because those are falling into the category now of like, do you $60, $70 like them? So, but I think it's great that people who really, really, really want to see the series finished, from what I understand, too, left things kind of open-ended. So I'm glad that the fans are going to hopefully get some closure, or at least some continuation of where they left off with the previous story.
All the days Cash shaves off is during E3.
Well, one thing that's really funny, since this announcement of Shenmue 3, Shenmue 2 in the Xbox went from like a $10 game to like a $60 game.
Yeah, I saw that you
It's
said
nuts.
something about that.
Oh wow.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, I'm looking up on sold copies right now. They're selling at like $50.
That's all it takes, though.
It's hilarious.
Okay, so the next game is Batman Arkham Knight. I'm not a Batman fan, so I got really nothing to say about it.
The Arkham series is solid. At least it has been. There's no reason for us to believe that this won't be another solid entry in the Batman series. From what I understand, this is the concluding entry in this particular version of the mythology. Is that correct?
That's what they made it sound like. One thing I'm excited for, they got the Batmobile in there now, kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah. Do we know if I heard? I don't know if this is correct or not, but I heard that Mark Hamill was actually the one voicing the Joker in the previous games.
Yep, it was him.
So I'm wondering if he's going to make a return.
I wouldn't know. I don't
Might. I thought he said something like he was done doing that, though. I don't know. I could be wrong, but anybody know?
Hopefully he meant this was his last time, because it would be kind of a shame if the series had to close with someone else. He sets the bar pretty high.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, all we were waiting for? Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Moving on. Okay, next is Star Wars and Disney are teaming up to do Twilight of the Republic, and it seems like a kid's game. There's also Rise Against the Empire playset. So I guess Twilight is supposed to come out now, and Rise Against the Empire comes out a month later, and there has some figurines, including a Boba Fett figurine.
To be clear, we're not talking about sparkling vampires. We're talking about Star Wars games.
Yeah, this is the Disney Infinity 3.0.
So those are like amiibos, right?
Yes.
Okay. I see
So you'll be able to have Darth Vader and Wolverine and everybody else in the same day. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I often forget that Disney owns Marvel now, but I think it's going to be great. Another series that I'm kind of crossing my fingers for and hoping makes the switch over. I would love to see a Kingdom Hearts game that had the Star Wars and the Marvel cast of characters in it. That would be epic.
Could be interesting.
Oh, and maybe Willow, because that's also Lucasfilm. Oh yeah, Willow.
Oh, really? You're right. Lucasfilm did do Willow.
Needs to make a Willow too. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how much Disney owns now, or at least has their hands in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expect any day now to get like my next mortgage bill and have it be like payable to Walt Disney Corporation.
Well, the YouTube partnership I'm with is linked to Disney, so it's kind of funny that way. But it has no real impact on me, except since that partnership happened, I'm getting a whole bunch of more extras with my channel.
Nice.
Or my channel thing, so it's kind of cool.
He's nice.
It's nice.
I know you're a
Very
YouTube
nice.
partner. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, for a while now. Mind you, I haven't really been uploading since I became a partner.
Well, you have a partner. That's why you self-uploading.
Yeah, you're a partner now. Yay! What do I upload?
You're like Seinfeld. You're just trying to retire on a high note.
Yeah, something like that. It's like, okay. So
So
I've
next is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Uncharted fan, my friend is, but he's not here.
This game looks really good, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It looks good, but it's not for me.
What's going to be really interesting, Uncharted is another series where the releases are just solid. This is going to be another solid game, but what I like about it is I think it started with Uncharted 2. They pushed it way over the top with Uncharted 3. I mean, Sony puts so much weight behind helping the Uncharted series get completed. I mean, Uncharted 3 basically it was like a major motion picture amount of momentum and cast and crew behind it. So I think that's kind of cool to see gaming where they take the story and the characters serious enough to really, say, let's make the story of the game unfold just like a blockbuster movie would. I think that's kind of cool.
Alright, so the next show was Nintendo, which I know many of us are excited for. Who wants
You
to go? into the first one?
skipped you skipped Kingdom Hearts 3, my
Oh,
friend.
how's it go with that on Square? I'm on Square right now.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll fast forward. Go ahead.
Fast forward. Nintendo, okay, Square. Okay, who wants to cover the first game covered at Nintendo? Want to do it, Tyler?
Sure. Star Fox Zero.
I'm interested. I'll just say that right now.
You know,
Star
I
Fox
haven't.
Zero. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I haven't played a Star Fox game since the original. I mean, this looks really good. Again, like I said about everything, but this one does look really good, and I would probably get this one.
Some basic information. Releasing holiday 2015, and Arwing can transform, which some people have said that was in the Star Fox 2 game that never released.
Yep.
It absolutely is. I can confirm. I've played and beaten Star Fox 2. I can confirm this Star Fox looks like a love letter to the original Star Fox and Star Fox 2. So anybody that's worried about this being like a Star Fox Assault or anything like that, don't worry about it. The game looks spectacular. If it plays like the first and second Star Fox games, it's going to play spectacular. I'm more than interested. I did something I haven't done since Metroid Prime Trilogy. I threw down a pre-order on it, so
Nice.
I'm locked in.
It's gonna
Yeah,
sell
like
like
to me, I mean, I think it's going to be a solid game and everything, but visually, like coming from a 3D animation background, like I think the game looks horrid to me. It looks like they basically took the N64 models and then just put normal maps on them. They just look really like bad to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what that was another one where I watched it actually on the I watched it on my television and YouTube 1080p. It looked. You're not the first person to say that, by the way. Other people have said it too. So I don't know. Maybe there's either something wrong with my eyes, or maybe I'm looking at wrong or different gameplay footage than other folks looked at. It
Well,
looks
yeah, I
spectacular
think
to me.
normal gameplay looks fine, but if you look at like actual like zoomed in like screenshots of like the ships and stuff, they just look really like kind of bad.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean,
yeah, I hear you. Well, I guess the
with
question
aesthetic
then is going to
design,
be like,
I mean,
how
I think the
free
game's
range is
fine.
the camera, right? And during gameplay, are we going to see like 3 feet from the wing, or are we going to see like normal Star Fox view?
Yeah, I forgot about the gamepad and TV. You have two different views.
Yep, that is true.
Yep.
You have a first-person view on the controller, and then third-person, a cinematic view on the television, which might be another reason why they might have kept the graphics down a little bit, because you're kind of rendering basically, the same scene twice from two different perspectives. So.
And apparently you're going to be able to change where you're shooting compared to where you're flying, which is actually really cool. I think that's a good use of the Wii U gamepad.
Yep. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Use the gyroscopic controls to aim. Yep.
Yeah.
Do a barrel roll!
I can do a barrel roll and shoot wherever I want.
Someone with the laptop should do a barrel with the camera.
That was pretty hilarious. Did anybody see the actual Nintendo Digital event? They actually were referencing like do a barrel roll. They're telling like Reggie or
The
one of
Nintendo
those guys to
Pro
do a barrel roll. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw that.
Reggie and all
It's
those.
like Jim Henson style puppets.
Hopefully
Yeah.
Reggie can barrel roll better than he can play Smash Brothers with Ryu.
Alright, moving on. Skylander Superchargers. We'll have vehicles, turbocharged Donkey Kong, and Bowser will be in the game. I don't know nothing about Superchargers, so no comments from me.
One thing that was interesting that they pointed out about the figurines themselves is that there's actually like a little switch or knob on the bottom that you can kind of turn them into Skylander figures or make them amiibo figures, so you can kind of like switch back and forth. So I'm interested to see what kind of amiibo functionality they're going to have, if any.
That is interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I think it's like the natural progression, I guess. It makes sense.
The natural progression is for everything to become an amiibo.
My hand
Yeah.
is
Well, no, it's actually pretty funny about about the whole Skylander thing. Originally, like the people who developed Skylanders, they actually went to Nintendo originally to see if they could develop it there, and then Nintendo said, "No, we don't really want that," or they didn't really think of it, and then they ended up going with what was it, Activision? Who has it now? Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. So now Nintendo's kind of going back and having to catch up a little bit.
All right, Chris, you want to take us to the next topic?
Yeah, I think the next topic that you're referring to is Mario Maker.
I was going to talk about Zelda Triforce.
Oh, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I posted in chat.
So Triforce Heroes was actually, so this is a game, I kind of heard about it, to be honest with you. I don't have a 3DS yet, so because I knew that the new 3DS was going to come out, and I didn't want to buy the old 3DS. So I still haven't bought into the latest portable thing. DS is as far up as I've gone at all. But what really interested me about this, so I went to play Mario Maker yesterday at my local Best Buy, which was one of the 100 that was participating in the Play Mario Maker early, and they're actually allowing us to play that game early while we waited in line to play Mario Maker. And so I was able to play it 3-player. I've got some Google Glass footage of me and some other folks playing, which I will include. Check later on, not tonight, but maybe in the next week or so. I'll post that video to the Retro Reload channel, and I'll post a link on this video here to it. But good game. It plays like the old school Zelda. It plays like Four Swords, only with way better graphics than Four Swords. And there's the co-op. There's quite a bit of co-op that's required. There's different moves that you can only accomplish with 3 players and all that other stuff. It was pretty fun. It was a lot more fun than I expected it would be.
This is basic information. It's fall 2015 for the 3DS, and it will have multiplayer co-op. And I'm actually kind of interested in getting it.
I like this because it's a new entry into that multiplayer Zelda games, which we haven't really had in a while.
Yeah. My only thing is, I'm a pretty big Zelda fan. My only thing is that, like, at least for me, I'm a working adult. When am I going to have 2 other people with 3DSs to play with at the same time?
Yeah, I absolutely hear you there, Tyler. I enjoyed it for what it was. I was at a Best Buy. There was this guy standing there. It was really weird. They had, like, Octo Best Buy guy. He's, like, standing there, and he's got these, like, 3DSs, like, literally, like, tethered to him. And he's just, like, standing there, right, with these, like, 3DSs, like, floating, like, by these tethers around him, like, really surreal fashion. He's like, anyone want to play, Zelda Triforce? And I'm like, I don't know, this feels like some kind of Greek god or something that's, like, going to turn me to stone if I touch it or whatever. Anyway, so, like, I played it, and for what it was, being there and having 2 other people to play, it was fun. Now, I'm not going to buy 3 new 3DSs and 3 copies of the game to play it at home with my family. Chances are we're not, like you said, we're not even going to find a moment where the 3 of us can just sit there and put a couple hours into the game. But I can tell you this from what I played. The levels that I played would have been impossible to complete without 3 players.
That's why I'm hoping there's like a single-player component, so you can
there
have
may
2
be.
other, and that's something we need to find out.
There may be, but this was definitely a time-limited demo. Very, it was a specific level crafted specifically for 3 players. Now, whether they go the route that they eventually went with Four Swords, where they release a version where there's like computer-controlled characters, I don't know. I think with this game it would be pretty difficult because you need the 3 characters for more than just solving puzzles. There's certain moves like toteming and stuff like that where like the different characters stack on top of each other. And there are certain characters, certain bosses that you fight that you can only hit them at different stages of their evolution if you're totem to a certain level. So for part of the battle, you'll have to be 2 people tall so that you can shoot the arrows at its eye. For other parts of the battle, you need to be 3 people tall. and then there's times where you have to kind of switch back and forth between them. So how well that would work with a computer-controlled AI, I'm not convinced that it would be playable.
Or would it be too difficult to be worth your time?
Right, they would have to come up with some other mechanic that replaces those two folks. Like, Link carries like a stepladder with him, like puts it down or something. I don't know, something.
Well, you could emulate that by just controlling all the characters at once. Like once you go to totem mode, you can just control everybody at once. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh yeah, certainly. But I think things like coordinating the totem, right? Like, if you have real people, you can say, "Hey guys, everybody run to the lower left-hand corner of the screen," and you all pretty much do it. But with computer characters, you're gonna have one off in one area, another off in another area, and I think you're gonna spend more time chasing the characters than you are actually gonna be playing the enjoyable segments of the game. But I mean, they might be able to find clever AI ways around it.
Well, I remember like in one of the Four Swords versions, you could basically just switch between Link you wanted to control, and that was one way to do it.
Yes, there was that.
Yeah, the pace of it's kind of hard to explain. But the pace of the boss fight, it had the pace of like a normal Zelda game. So like imagine Link's Awakening, boss fights like you're fighting the genie in the bottle, but now imagine in order to beat the genie in the bottle at the same playable speed and all that other stuff, you have to coordinate with like 2 other people real time. It's hard enough to do single player. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I'm with you though. I mean, if anybody can figure out a way to make that work, I think Nintendo can. And I'm with Tyler that I really hope that there is some way to do a single player element of it, because the controls were tight, the graphics were really great. Looks like a solid entry. I just hope I don't have to have I don't have 2 friends. That's what I'm complaining about.
I'm your friend. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, but you don't have a 3DS and you're not like right next door.
I'm only a couple hours away.
I wonder if there's going to be online play.
Yeah, I believe there's going to be internet play, so that may alleviate some of that. You don't have to be sitting in the same room.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So the other thing too is I was wondering, like, it's going to be really awkward having to have this Best Buy employee like tethered to all the 3DSs in order to play the game. I don't know if they fully thought through that part either.
Yeah, do you have to buy the guy too?
Yeah. So I mean, the links that they go, I think they were just trying to make sure nobody ripped off the 3DSs, but it was still kind of funny because like you're paying some guy an hourly wage to just stand there with like, portable gaming systems tethered to him. He himself can't play.
Hell, I'd do
that.
Okay. Next is Hyrule Warriors. It's coming to 3DS. Adding characters from Wind Waker. It's coming out the first quarter of 2016. I had no comment.
I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, Hyrule Warriors. It's coming to the 3DS. Adding characters from Wind Waker, and it's coming out the first quarter of 2016.
Yeah, not too much to say on that. It's kind of self-explanatory. They're from what I saw, they're just basically re-releasing the game with all the DLC characters plus a couple more, and probably new missions. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Bad at Chaos on that one. I'm probably gonna tick off a whole bunch of fans, but I didn't get Hyrule Warriors. I'm not really terribly interested in getting Hyrule Warriors. So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. Yeah. It felt like a Zelda game. Felt like a Dynasty Warriors game.
That was really my only complaint. Yeah, so if it was a classic, traditional like Zelda game, I'd be a bit more interested in it. But I'm not interested in just playing, a Dynasty Warriors game.
It's just a Zelda skin. It's fun, but it's just again.
It's not Zelda though.
It's not Zelda. It's kind of like the same thing with ESO. It's a good game, just not what it's supposed to be.
That's a perfect way of putting it.
Okay, ready for the ranting part of the show? You guys want to talk about Metroid Prime Federation Force. Who wants to start us off?
Okay, first of all, Nintendo, listen up, because I'm only going to say this once. It's not a Metroid game if it doesn't have Samus. End of story.
Yeah, I heard that and I just went like, what?
Well, I think what happened, and I mean this happens all too often, it's just they came up with the concept for a game and they try to think of a franchise they could attach it to, right?
Mhm.
And then they just figured maybe that was the best way, you know what I mean? Instead of coming up with a new IP.
I think you're absolutely right. I think this is going to be the Blaster Master Boy of the Metroid series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I get it, but why? You know.
Especially because all they had
Is
to
what
do,
it-
right?
it's a little
All they had
spin-off.
to do was put Samus in it, and then they could have played the whole, Metroid Prime Hunters card.
Well, who knows? Maybe she will appear in there. I don't know.
I don't know. There's been so much. There's been so much talk about like a new Metroid game for a long time. Everybody wants a new Metroid. We want a new Metroid. We want a new Metroid. And this is what we get. You know.
And they've even hinted to
Yeah.
having two different branches of the series, right? They've hinted to keeping with the Prime version of the series that we came to know with Wii, and they've even talked about going the original direction which is more kind of like traditional platformer, and then we get this. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
So really,
Or
what
we
you're
get
trying to
other
tell me,
end.
Nintendo, is that all the everybody was really busy working on Mario Maker and Star Fox. So you kind of put together a kind of Metroid game with some
And,
assets that you had lying around.
Well, and it's funny
And
because
Zelda.
we've all we've all said that earlier on in the show that Nintendo's listening, Sony's listening, everybody's listening. Pay attention. We want a Metroid game.
Well, I do give them some forgiveness on this one because, I mean, to their credit, so much of the stuff that they showed was so spot on, and it's not like they didn't target this as like, this is the Wii U's introduction of Metroid. This strikes me more as of like a whole like tide you over until we give you like a real Metroid game, which if that's what it is, I can accept it for that. Now, if you had announced that this was going to be the Metroid entry on Wii U, I would have been storming Redmond with, a torch and pitchfork.
Isn't this a 3DS game, or is this a Wii U?
This is 3DS.
3DS.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just saying, like, if this was meant to be like the flagship entrance of the Metroid series onto Wii U, I think it'd be right for us to riot. But where it's on the 3DS, like, let's be honest, like Metroid Prime Hunters, even though it had Samus in it, that was kind of a filler Metroid title.
Well, it wasn't made by Retro Studios either. It was, I don't know.
Right. So I'm willing for 3DS. Okay, I'll give you a pass, but I'm still wanting my fix for Wii U.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody feel better?
Just being able to talk about it helps. So thank you, Jeremy.
And I think people are actually demanding for them not to release the game now. If I read that correctly somewhere.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean,
No.
let them release the game. Like Bad of Chaos said, maybe we're all just hating and they just haven't
Maybe it's good.
revealed the rest of it yet. I think it's too early to really kind of criticize it. Let's let them release it and see what it comes out as. If it doesn't have Samus, at least
And
they've been
then we
upfront
can
and
flog
saying it's in the universe, but that's about it.
Maybe they're trolling with Samus.
Well, that's the thing. Like Nintendo is usually anyway. They've played their cards really close to their chest. They don't give a whole lot away. And then all of a sudden they're just like, boom, here's Earthbound Beginnings. You're like, what? So I mean, they could have a Metroid game just sitting there, and they're like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this 3DS thing out here, get everybody all worked up, and then a week later we're gonna drop this on.
Absolutely, because they did the same thing to us with Star Fox.
Yeah.
And if you think about it from a marketing standpoint, that actually kind of makes sense. Get people talking about it in one light, and then reverse the direction, and then it makes that game look that much better. And you've already created this hype, this excitement, even though this excitement is already is kind of more like Rage.
Yeah, I'm glad that you actually mentioned that, because that was kind of, I guess, what I was getting at when I was like, let's give it a chance and see. Like, you're absolutely right. I hadn't thought about it that far, but this could certainly be, for all we know, a prequel to the Wii U, title.
Maybe, but I mean, well, another thing about this whole like idea of keeping the cards close is that I mean, it doesn't make sense to say, oh yeah, we're making a Metroid game, right? And then they don't have anything to prove, they don't have any content to show, right? And then maybe a couple of years down the line, maybe they cancel the game or whatever. That just leaves a bunch of pissed off fans. You know what I mean? It's best to actually show something when you have something to show, rather than just mention it in passing and then just piss off a bunch of people.
Yeah, no, I agree, definitely.
That's true. I don't. I'm with Tyler though. I don't put it past them. It was in a Nintendo Direct in January that they were talking about playing around with some concepts for Star Fox for the Wii U, and then like E3 2.5 months later, 3 months later, it's like, oh, by the way, the game's nearly done and it'll be out for Christmas.
Well, actually, didn't last E3 they had something about the Star Fox, didn't they? Anybody else remember that? No?
I feel like they said something like we're going to do Star Fox kind of thing, like just sort of off the cuff kind of remark. I don't think it was like an actual announcement though.
Yeah, that's the way that I remember it too. They kind of mentioned it as like we're looking into it, we're toying around with some stuff. They reinforced that in a couple of the Nintendo Directs earlier this year, and then suddenly, like when I saw the game, like they just came out and I'm like, holy crap! You were just talking about throwing on concepts like 2 months ago, and now the game's practically freaking done. You guys are amazing. I think they've been farther along on it for a while than what they've let on.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on to the next game. I need Cash excited for this one. It's on Fire Emblem Fates. Of course, he's not here.
The only thing I know to say about the Fire Emblem theme is that Cashel loves Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about it.
He's not here. Neither. So move on.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Next one is Xenoblade Chronicles X, coming out December 4th, 2015.
Yep. I pre-ordered that game as well yesterday. The game looks
I think I'm about to
absolutely
pre-order that myself.
amazing. The game just looks amazing. Those games, like Star Fox Zero, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Mario Maker, those games are not going to go down in price. You might as well just pre-order them. They're gonna hold their price until they're out of print.
Then they're going to go up.
Yep. But yeah, I mean,
Anybody else got anything to say?
I don't know. I'll say this. It's like it's not too often I say this, but like it might be just one of those games. Like even I'm just speaking hypothetically. Well, let's say hypothetically it's just a shit game. I mean, I'll pick that up just because of the visuals, because the visuals just are like in I don't know, the creature design, the vehicle design, the aesthetics and the graphics just look crazy, amazing to me.
Yeah, I'm with all the hype and everything surrounding it, and with how good Xenoblade was, I don't see it being a crap game, but I'm with you. I think
I'm sure it won't.
I'm thinking it'll definitely be worth the cost of entry. And what's really great is that it's impressive to see. I think this game and the Zelda game, if they actually manage to achieve the scale that they're aiming for, I think they're going to blow away a lot of the third-party developers' BS notions about like the system being underpowered. Because I mean, the Zelda demo that they were showing like months ago, I mean, they show, they talk about Link being able to jump off this mountain and coast across this forest and across this lake to land in a village that like is what in real world would be like 2.5 miles away. I mean, that's a pretty darn vast game world that you have that's fully traversable. So to see that the Wii U is doing it while other developers like Square and stuff were saying it couldn't be done on the PS3, to me that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, well, the thing is too. I mean, it's Nintendo. It's their hardware. They know how to use it. Whereas a lot of other developers, like especially Western developers, just because there is that language barrier, it's harder to get support to actually know how to program for said system. You know what I mean? And that, since it's Nintendo, it's their work of art. They know, it's their baby. They know how to get the most out of it. Unlike somebody who is just thrown one and is expected to be able to spit out a game onto it.
Yeah, I hear you there, but I guess like for me, I still throw it down to if you look at Uncharted 1 for the PlayStation 3, which was amazing at the time, and then you compare it to Uncharted 3, you can see all the progress that the developer made in like learning the ropes.
Yeah.
From point A to point B. So what I was really disappointed by was all these third-party developers. You're willing to throw into to PS3, you're willing to throw into Xbox 360, and then go on to Xbox One and PS4 and relearn everything. But I feel like they were just expecting that somehow they would be able to like magically hit the ground running with the Wii U and just make these epic, expansive games when it's like there's going to be an effort to port your existing game engines over. There's going to be some iterative refinement that you're going to have to go through before you can really make full use of the hardware. You're complaining about your unoptimized games looking unoptimized on the system. We'll take the friggin' time and go through the iterations and the handful of games you need to perfect the engines to build something like a Xenoblade, right? Or to build something like, a Zelda. I guess that was just, that was it. I mean, we didn't see the Uncharted developers complaining that the PS3 wasn't, capable enough for Uncharted 3. We didn't see Core or Square complaining about the capabilities of the PS3 for things like Tomb Raider. But
I mean,
the Wii U and it's like
Bethesda figured it out, right?
It's the same hardware.
I mean, you got large environments with games like Skyrim and Oblivion, right? I mean, that was on 360 and Xbox.
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying is like to me it was kind of like a bogus argument, right? It was kind of like what you were saying, like if they really were determined, right, they could have plowed through that technical debt, plowed through those language barriers, and built experiences that would have been really cool. Like what I would have loved to see, I still want to see if Square is listening. I think that Tomb Raider Definitive Edition would actually be Tomb Raider released on the Wii U, and here's why. There was a lot of parts in the game where Laura was using a PDA and all this other stuff, and she's using a camera to record stuff around her environment. Hello, you've got the perfect device in my hands to do that. Why do I have to get out of the game to look at the map to go somewhere else in the game, and you want me to do that several times when I can just look down at a map, point to somewhere and say, I want to instant go here. So they had mechanics in the game that would have mapped perfectly to the Wii U, and then you see BS statements by the developer of, we haven't really thought of any innovative ways to use the Wii U gamepad. Dude, seriously? Like, you should be fired because I could have told you about 5 different ways to use the gamepad just off the top of my head in 5 minutes playing the game on PS3.
They're just being lazy.
So, yeah, I think, well, I don't know that it was lazy. I think it's that they didn't want to make the time or the money investment in the platform. But they can't say that because then you'll have a whole bunch of diehard Wii U fanboys that'll just flame them, right? So instead you say other things like the system is underpowered, blah, 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 blah. You try to make a technical case, but you can't convince me as a guy that develops software and keeps hardware running. It's not a valid argument. The hardware is capable, and I think I'm really, really excited because I think games like Zelda and games like Xenoblade are going to show what the hardware is truly capable of, and that all these other people, it's too late now. You're too far behind. You'll never make a game like that on that system, and it's your own fault.
And at this point, I don't think they really care, just because of how poorly the sales have been.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that they do care. I think it's the gamers that are mainly going to lose out. But
and that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate part.
yeah,
there is
because there's no games, and then people don't want to develop for the console that has some unique features to it because there's no games.
Right. The Wii U. The painful thing is the Wii U is not the Virtual Boy. but the
Yeah.
third parties are treating it like it's a Virtual Boy.
hmm You know, there is one little.
It's got
piece
more
of-
than 14 titles.
There's one little piece of news on the Zelda front. I don't know if anybody saw this or not.
No,
But,
throw it out there.
it was confirmed that they are going to develop it for the Wii U after all. It's not going to be ported to the NX like people have been saying. Like, it will be on the Wii U for sure.
That's good.
Okay, that's good. I know a lot of people were speculating with that. You know, I guess I share a little bit Red Blaze's last episode. Some of his frustration, you know, like, people are writing off the console while it still had. There's only one system that in one company that convinced me to pre-order since Metroid Prime Trilogy, and that is Nintendo. On a system that everyone else says is a failed system. I'm not running out pre-ordering stuff on all the stuff that was announced for Sony and Square and you know, mostly by Square, but all the stuff that was announced for Sony and the Xbox One, with the exception of Rare Replay, it's like I gotta wait 1 to 2 years before I'm gonna actually see that game, if it's not canceled. So I'm not gonna run out and buy the console now. I'm gonna wait to see if the game actually comes out, which system it comes out for, which one is better. The only game that really compelled me to like, wow, I should get an Xbox One now is Rare Replay. That was it.
Yeah.
Everything else has me in a holding
Which
pattern.
is funny
Nintendo's
because
saying
that's all
you'll be
based off
playing these
of
at Christmas.
back catalog.
What was that?
I was saying, which is kind of funny because that Rare Replay thing is all old games. It's not like
Yeah.
new games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it is funny, but it's old games that I can't conveniently get my hands on now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
or affordably get my hands on now. But I guess my point was right. So the console that's got the fewest games for it and the least amount going on for it will have me playing more games that I want to play at Christmas than either of the two consoles that they're competing against that are better.
All right, let's move on to Animal Crossing.
Supposedly.
Just quick announcements on those. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, September 25th. There's Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. There's really a lack of information on those two. I'm somewhat interested in Animal Crossing lately.
Somehow I missed the whole. I missed the whole fact that there was Animal Crossing stuff, you know, announced. But it totally makes sense now why at the Mario Maker event that Best Buy did, they gave out all these Animal Crossing collectible pins and stuff. I was like, why? What's the deal with the Animal Crossing? I totally missed the boat on that one. So now it makes sense. Thank you.
I've always enjoyed Animal Crossing.
Basically, yeah, they're basically two little spin-off games. They're not really full-fledged Animal Crossing titles, but they, like, what's the name of it? Happy Home something?
Happy Home Designer.
Yeah, that one, basically, it's kind of like what it sounds. You work for Mr. Nook, and you are kind of like a retailer, not a retailer, but like a real estate agent / interior designer, and you get to kind of build homes as specified by the little villagers, and you kind of, you know, unlock furniture and you arrange it. Basically, it's just like the whole interior design
It's like the Sims
part
when you
of
live in
Animal
houses.
Crossing.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, people are actually. Let me get this straight. Like, one of the major features of the game is that you can unlock furniture.
Yeah, this
I
sounds like
guess too.
it sounds like a mobile game.
I'm trying to figure out how I didn't pre-order this game. This sounds fascinating.
Yeah, basically, it's Animal Crossing like interior design minus all the other, like, you know, grinding type stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like something
And the
my
other-
son would absolutely love, but it would bore me to death.
And the other game, I'm not really sure. There wasn't really much released on it. It was
Yeah.
basically, it looked kind of like a party board game type thing. I'm not really sure. There wasn't really that much footage released
they
of
just
what
showed a little
it actually
bit, but that
was.
it. Okay, let's move on to the Yoshi Woolly World, which I actually interested in. It's co-op mode, and releasing October 16th. And I watched a little bit. They had a showing before the Nintendo World Champion. It looked interesting because it's 2 players, so you got to work together to beat it. I thought it was interesting.
I think it's interesting to see Nintendo, even in the situation that they currently find themselves in, willing to experiment with established IPs, willing to kind of put themselves out there for a different kind of game, a different look or feel or gameplay style to an established game, established IP. I think when we start seeing Nintendo do everything cookie cutter, then it's time for us to really worry and jump ship. So I think the fact that we're still seeing stuff like Yoshi's Woolly World and things like that shows us we probably shouldn't worry too much about Wii U. We probably shouldn't worry too much about the future of Nintendo. If they can still afford to experiment, then they're doing just fine. They may not be pulling in the volume of sales that they want, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it looks really good. I mean, it seems very similar. I'm sure that's the intent to the Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yeah.
Anybody's played that?
Yep, it's the same, like some of the same designers actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that was a good game. I have it. I beat it. It was fun. I think it's probably more of the same. I don't know, but I'm interested to find out.
Well, one thing I'm excited for, it's like the first console Yoshi game to come out since Yoshi's Story on the N64. So it's been a while since there's been like a console home release of a Yoshi game.
That's a good point.
Has it really? Wow.
Yep, I mean there's been other Yoshi games, but they've been on handhelds.
Never really noticed.
Yep. Well, next topic.
Did we lose you, Jeremy? Oh, we might have lost him. So we can. I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I think the next topic is Mario Maker, and I know he really wanted to hear about that. Are you still there, Jeremy? Are you on mute?
We've got Mario and Luigi Paper Jam.
Mario and Luigi what? Paper Jam?
Yeah, the 3DS one.
Oh wow. Okay. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
What do we know about that?
From what I've been able to gather, it is kind of a blending of the Mario and Luigi style of what's the most recent one? Dream Team. And so they kind of blended that style with the Paper Mario series. So it looks like it's kind of a mashup kind of thing for 3DS. It looks like it could be interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about it.
Welcome back, Jeremy.
Yeah, sorry, crashed.
That's okay. So we just covered Mario Paper Jam for the 3DS.
So
what's the
pick the next one? Because we know you want to talk about this one.
you must be talking about Mario Maker.
Yes.
So I went there. Jeremy gave me the heads up. Hey, dude, you're Best Buy. Like literally 2 blocks away from my house is one of the 100 Best Buys in the U.S. that's participating in this Play Mario Maker early party at Best Buy. So I went there yesterday. I had the Google Glass. Unfortunately, Google Glass crashed just as they activated the timer for my 4-minute play session. So while I did get video of the Zelda game, I don't have video of the Mario Maker. But a friend of mine, who we became friends while we were waiting 3 hours for our 5 minutes of gameplay in line at Best Buy. He took some video of his son playing Mario Maker. He's got a shot of him playing the game. You can see the actual gameplay footage from his camera shot, and I'd actually taken video with my phone of his son's reactions. So I'm going to do some post work on that, and that'll be another thing that we'll link to in another week or so, and you can check that out if you want to see some, gameplay pre-release footage of Mario Maker. I can tell you the 4 minutes I spent with it. One thing that kind of disappointed me, and this wasn't with the game, it was kind of just the way that they enabled you to play the game. I was really hoping that I'd get to be able to play around with the dynamic of building levels, or that they do something where everybody gets a little bit of time to add an element or something, and then maybe you play through a level that you all collectively built. That would have been really cool. Instead, what we saw was more like what they had at the Nintendo World Championships. There was about, I want to say, I'd have to go back and actually count it, but it was something like 8 or 16 canned levels that had already been created. And basically, you had enough time in the 4 minutes to play through 1 or 2, if you were good, of these canned levels. So that was kind of a bummer. The game's called Mario Maker, not something else somebody made with Mario Maker. So I can't really speak to it in terms of the, I can't talk to the intuitiveness of the controls or the, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you the Mario plays like Mario. There's a mix of the new Super Mario Brothers physics and the original physics. It seems to be based on which skin you're doing. So if you're in a skin or a themed world on New Super Mario Bros., you're going to have all the new Super Mario Brothers moves and physics and all that kind of stuff.
I like how they mix it like that too. Like they do all the different ones.
Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to do that. Like, are they going to switch it by skin as far as the control scheme, or is this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it looked
So
like
it
it
is
was.
by skin.
Yeah, it looked like it was switched by skin. Another interesting thing that they did, and I think that this was, whether they'll admit it or not, I think this was inspired by Super Mario Crossover, which is a free Flash-based version of Mario that brings in characters from a whole bunch of other different games. I was watching somebody else play, and they hit a power-up block, and this question mark mushroom comes out. They got it, and suddenly Mario became Link from The Legend of Zelda.
That's awesome.
Apparently,
Yeah.
these
That's
question
what
marks.
the amiibos do.
Yes,
Yeah, the Amiibos
they have amiibo integration. So if you use an amiibo, if you pair an amiibo with the game, those characters become available in Mario Maker. Now, the game's still not done yet, so this could all change. Something that I want you guys to understand is that it doesn't mean that you have actually Link in the game. It's not Link with his sword doing his thing. It's basically a Link skin on Mario. So you're still jumping and stomping mushrooms and all that other stuff. So it's definitely cool, but it's more of like a novelty cool thing. It's not like the full-blown, Mario crossover where like you'll become Mega Man with the arm cannon and all the whole stuff. It's not that. It's more you'll have a skin of Mega Man, but you'll still be just jumping around stomping Goombas. So. But it's cool nonetheless to see that they're doing that, like they're trying to go the mashup route. There's also a lot of, they did give us a pretty good mix of levels to where you could see like how they handle the blending of the different iterations of Mario Brothers. So you can play Mario 1 levels that have Mario 3 flair to them with things that only appeared in Mario 3 and stuff like that. You can play Mario World levels that have things that like, it was really interesting playing a Mario World level where you get to Koopa at the end and you hit the axe that makes the bridge fall out from under him, but it's all totally skinned like a Super Mario World level. That was pretty cool. And then they just did other things that were like.
Sorry to interrupt, but how many skins were available?
I don't know. I don't know because they hadn't joined all the amiibos that you could potentially join.
Or I didn't mean skins in that sense. I
I
meant
think
like
it's levels.
world.
Every genre's
Like
covered.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
platformer genre's covered. I saw Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3. I saw the Super Mario World, and then even new Super Mario Bros. So it looks like all the major iterations are there, and you can totally blend anything from one generation into another generation.
Cool.
So it's really.
And that's coming out what, September 11th? I think is what they said. It was?
September 11th.
I think so, yeah. Now, if you did play, what was really cool, they actually gave you a collector's edition pin to celebrate the 30th anniversary. If you pre-ordered 2 games, there's like a whole list of like the games that were coming out for the Wii. If you pre-ordered at least 2 games for the Wii that same day, there's I think like 6 or 7 other pins in this series that you can only get by doing 2 pre-orders that specific day. So that I have to admit that somewhat drove my. I knew I was going to get Star Fox. I knew I was going to get Mario Maker and Xenoblade pretty much as soon as they came out. But knowing that I was going to get some cool collector swag, you couldn't get any other way. That definitely, encouraged me to commit that day to like, I know I'm getting it, I might as well get it now and get some extra stuff. They also gave out, which was really cool.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky.
Want to learn something?
Yeah.
Use some flashcards.
So they also gave out Paper Mario Sticker Star sticker books,
That's cool.
which are pretty cool. I got one for me to keep as like kind of collector's item, and then I got another one for my son because the stickers are gonna be all over the place by the end of tomorrow. They had codename Steam collector cards that for different characters, and they tell you a bit about the characters and stuff. There's a code to download a demo of the game and stuff. Overall, I have to say it was definitely a good, it was a really good event. It was a good showing for Mario Maker, even though they didn't show the Maker part of it. But it was really awesome to be able to. The lines were long. I think I was like number 86 that played the game, and they were open until like 9:45 because they went over a little bit. But it was definitely really cool. I hope that they do more stuff like that in the future with other games and stuff. It's good publicity for Best Buy, and it's a good way to get. It was interesting to see how many people. There were people that had driven from like 4 hours away to be at that Best Buy to play Mario on Wii U.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were pretty late. The closest one to me was 200 miles away.
Yeah, I wouldn't, and it was kind of like a sleeper event too, right? I mean, it wasn't like. I mean, I know Best Buy had some link on their site or whatever, but like I don't go to like Best Buy's site to see like what current events they're doing, right? Like the only reason I knew is because Jeremy dug it up and said, "Hey, Chris, you should check this out. It's right next to your house."
Yeah, there's one fairly close to me that's doing it on Saturday. I might go check it out.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. They're doing it here Saturday too. I actually I was fortunate enough that things were going smooth enough at work to where I was able to leave on time, and I went directly. I think I got to Best Buy at 6:30, and I didn't leave until 9:45.
Okay.
And that was mainly like I didn't get to play it until 5 minutes to 9, and then I had to wait another 45 minutes in line to be able to get my pre-orders in. So,
Wow.
but yeah, so it was definitely. I think though it's going to be absolute madness on Saturday. It's going to be crazy. I encourage you to go and try to get in there, but the reason I'm saying it is get there early.
Yeah.
Because they time out how long they can go at 4 minutes of play per player with a little bit of like slack in there. And there were people that were showing up at 7:30 because they advertise they're going from 4 to 9 with Mario Maker. There were people that showed up at 7:30 that were told, "Sorry, we're filled." So if you're planning to show up a couple hours late into it, don't be surprised if there's not time. If you want to get in there early.
Okay, let's move on. Tyler covered this a little earlier. Earthbound.
Yeah, it's been beginnings.
Yes. So we'll let you finish off what you're saying earlier, because
I
Nintendo.
didn't really have a whole lot left to say about it. Just it's another one now for us in the U.S. So, or North America, I should say.
You didn't
And
have
Europe.
anything else to say?
Oh, there was one little thing that I kind of. One thing I thought that I thought we would see something or a mention at least, and there wasn't any mention of it at all. The Club Nintendo replacement, whatever's going to be taking its place. I thought maybe we'd hear something.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that too. You're right. That was a total no-show.
But that's it.
Well, they did launch this service called Nintendo Play, but I don't know if that's really the same thing. Doesn't really look like it.
Yeah, it looks like flat, family-friendly Flash games for like if you need your computer to babysit your kid.
Yeah, basically.
It works for Lego.
Okay, so let's move on to. I personally thought it was a very boring event. Square Enix.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that was kind of a blah event, but then I think you explained it to us last time, Jeremy. Basically, like Sony kind of stole their thunder, right? All the big announcements Sony made, and then Square makes the same announcements with the same darn video. That's kind of yawn.
And
That's really fortunate for them, actually.
Yeah, I didn't watch this one, so I don't really have anything.
Don't watch the time.
I think the only thing that they showed that Sony didn't show was Kingdom Hearts 3, right?
well, I got a list. Just Cause 3 was the first one to show, and I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
Let's see. You actually get a wingsuit now. Comes out December 1st. Comes out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It's 300 square miles. Now you can do multiple grapple hooks, which is fun. You play the other ones, and there's over 80 vehicles.
Tyler is blown away. 80 vehicles.
So tired.
It was a who's that director that always has explosions in his films? That's how the trailer was.
Michael Bay?
Yeah, it's like a Michael Bay video game trailer.
Michael Bay video game trailer? There we go.
I can pretty much describe how it went down.
Yeah, for me, the big announcement was the big unique announcement was Kingdom Hearts 3. Just Cause. I know it's like Far Cry. There's lots of fans of that game, but I have Far Cry 1 or not Far Cry 1. Just Cause 1. I don't know. I just didn't really get into it.
Okay, so the next game is Nier 2, which Red Blaze was excited for.
Give me a little bit of info about that game. Like what? I've heard of it, but I'm not really
I just
familiar
know
with
it
it.
comes out. More info coming in fall 2015 for PS4. That's all I know. I know nothing about the series. I know what it was when they showed it. Okay, this one's for Casual. He asked us to cover this. Star Ocean.
Star Ocean. It's really good to see that game is going to be coming out on next-gen consoles. That's really all I have to say about it. It's another one of those. The previous games were good. The same folks are making this one. It's going to be good. You might as well get it now.
Okay, 2016 for North America and Europe. They showed it in 30 FPS, but they want to get up to 60. That's pretty much all I have on it. So the next one is Deus Ex Mankind. I was saying that game's name.
Yeah, Deus Ex.
Deus Ex. New engine set in the year 2029. Plotting against the Illuminati with hacktivists as a double agent. PS4, Xbox One, PC, coming early 2016. That's all I know.
Yeah, I think the trend that we're definitely seeing now is, as the competition is heating up and the consoles are becoming so similar, both to each other and to the PC platform, we're not really hearing a ton of exclusives this E3. Just about everything that we're hearing, even Final Fantasy VII, right? Like Sony's baby is a play first on PS4. It's not a play exclusively on. So this is just another blockbuster title that's going the multi-console route.
Okay, now we'll get to the topic you would want to talk about, Kingdom Hearts 3. You can take that one off, Chris.
No, great game. The only thing I'll say about it, because I've already kind of made it clear, I love Kingdom Hearts. I'm a big fan of the game, the franchise. Maybe I'm hoping that we'll see some Marvel in there. I'm hoping that we'll see some Star Wars in there. I'm not holding my breath, but it would still be pretty darn cool. Really psyched to see what they do with the graphics on the next-gen systems. Seeing what they were able to do on PS2, but when's it coming out? Am I waiting a year? Am I waiting 2 years? Am I waiting 3 years? So,
got no information as all that. There's also a mobile game for it. It's Kingdom Hearts X Unchained. I believe it's a mobile.
Yeah, I'm intrigued on that one. I'm gonna look that one up offline, and if it's not like a crazy expensive game, I might pick it up and give you guys a micro review and a follow-up episode.
Okay, so next is PC, which ran like 2 hours. It's amazing. This is where TT's here.
Please tell me there wasn't 2 hours worth of content that we now have to cover.
No, it's all we cover Eve Valkyrie.
Yeah, so Eve Valkyrie is... I've been watching that for about as long as they've been, and really since they announced it, I guess. And it looks awesome. It looks like a really good game specifically designed for VR. The big thing I'm interested in seeing is how they're going to integrate it with the rest of the Eve universe, because that's one thing CCP really likes to do, and that's not segregate their universe by game. So have it so that Eve Valkyrie is going to somehow impact players in Eve Online, and Eve Online impact players in Eve Valkyrie. So that's something that's going to be interesting to see. And the gameplay demo looks amazing. And I think it's a good way of doing VR as well. Is it's a game where you're sitting still and stuff is moving around you, like you're moving through space. But it's a good way of not getting motion sick because your body's like, okay, this makes sense. I'm sitting in like a car or a plane or something. So I think it's well done, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that kind of VR. You know, I think you nailed it. Like for me, I know what'll make it difficult is the motion stuff, but for things where you're intended to be stationary, right? I think it'll work out pretty well.
Yeah, stationary or like in a specific area, and you're actually able to move around. But it'll be interesting to see how we
Works with the Oculus.
Yeah, and how it's for the Oculus, and it's probably going to have Vive support as well.
It'll be interesting too, like you said, to see how the interaction plays out. Like if you're in both universes, for lack of a better word, both online universes, you know, are you going to be able to supplement your progress or your experience in one universe with stuff that you've done in another, or is it really just like, you know, plot lines somewhat kind of reference each other kind of deal?
Well, with the way CCP did Dust 514 and EVE Online. In Dust 514, well, in EVE Online, the way that you could control planets once Dust 514 was released is through players playing Dust. So you have the space pilots handling the space battles. So people playing EVE Online are handling the space battles around the planet. And they can provide support through like surface-to-ground fire that you'll actually be able to see and will make a massive impact in Dust 514. And that allows you to get those planets, and once you have those planets, you can get the resources and stuff from it. But those are two separate areas, like ground versus space, whereas Eve Valkyrie, and it is all space versus space. So it's going to be interesting to see.
That's pretty cool.
Final game, Star Wars 2: Legacy of the Void. Supposedly this will wrap up the Star Wars storyline, from my understanding.
Wait a minute, you mean like wrap up as in like done Star Wars, like end of Star Wars?
No, Star Wars, StarCraft 2.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, wow, how's Disney letting that one out?
StarCraft 2. It's supposedly supposed to wrap up the story.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, anything on that one, Timothy? You're a PC guy.
I'm excited for it. I like real-time strategy games. I'd have to get back into StarCraft, I think, before I'd be able to play that. But not a huge thing on that. I mean, StarCraft really helped the entire PC gaming scene, especially in esports and stuff. But the story in it's really cool as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they close it out.
And we'll call that show tonight.
Yeah, speaking of closing it out, folks, this has been Retro Reload. This is part 2 of our E3 wrap-up. It's been an amazing E3. Can't really add anything to what we've already discussed previously, but we want to thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you learned some cool stuff about some of the games and systems that you're interested in. If you want to share us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc., we would greatly appreciate it. If you got any questions, comments, or you don't agree with something that we said, drop some information in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. Ask your questions, and maybe we can follow up on them in an upcoming show.
Yeah, and be sure to check out VGCollect.com.
Absolutely. VG Collect is a great place to catalog your games, put together your wish list. So the next time you're at a garage sale and you say, hey, that looks like an excellent deal on a copy of Shenmue 2, you don't end up going home to find out you've already got 4 copies of Shenmue 2.
I've actually done that before.
We all have. So, folks, take care.
All right, night.
All right.